All right. Hi, Professor. Well, I am very sorry I missed the meeting yesterday. Did not realize we had one, and I was at work anyways. So, really sorry about that. Anyways, this is my project. I know you are expecting something way different from this, but this is the only way I would have been able to do anything. I am very, very stressed right now, and that's not an excuse at all. It shouldn't be an excuse. But I am just trying to make it through. And I know you were expecting a slideshow, and I will try and get those for you if I can. But it's been very hard to summarize my words. I can't quite summarize them very well. So I have decided to do the next best thing and just make a video summarizing it all. I really hope this counts, and I get it's not what you're expecting. And instead of the slideshow, I am gonna take this video. It's gonna help me focus my thoughts, and hopefully, I'll be able to write you a paragraph about what I've been doing. But this is my project. I'm very sorry for the grainy audio or video at all. This is my project, though, so I hope that's acceptable. Hope that's okay. Let's start. Sorry, I'm so sorry. So, I did 5 days of class. And I went in every Wednesday from 9:15 ish. That's when the kids came in. I was there every day at 9. But kids came in at 9:15 and they left at 11:15. So I was there for 2 hours each. So, I was there for 10 hours in total, 5 times. So each day I answered like on the guided focus area questions. There are 11 of them. So on the very first day I answered 3, so on and so forth, just answering 2 each day from then. So day 1 was quite stressful for me because I didn't quite know what to do at all. But it was great. There was the main teacher, Rebecca, and then there was 2 others, Melissa, and I actually never got the third teacher's name. She wasn't in the classroom a lot, but it was mainly Rebecca and Melissa, so they were my 2 teachers. Rebecca was the most helpful, and Kelly, the one who signed my Rubik's sheet, she's like the director. So, anyways, so on day 1, I'm just gonna start off. How did Rebecca facilitate the children's development? They were all super understanding. They knew each kid had their own problems per se, and opinions about stuff. And they were very respectful towards all of them. Like there's Milo, who's a very sensory oriented kid. So there was like a bucket full of stuff, of like beans and stuff like that, and scoopers that kids could play with. So it wasn't just meant for him, it was just meant for like, all the kids. But he really, really enjoyed stuff like that. It also answers the next question: how did the learning environment welcome and support each children? Just like that. Milo was able to scoop and focus on that, and he wasn't so grabby during that time like he normally is, because he was more focused in on stuff that the teachers knew were going to entertain him. And on day 1, I also did the third question. What does pick up and drop off look like? So it was honestly very easy. The kids walked down this long hallway, and the parents put their backpacks on like shelves and stuff, and then just the kids walk right in. I think one kid named Caleb had a little bit of a difficult time leaving his mom, but the teachers saw that. So Rebecca saw that and immediately was like, hey Caleb, like, do you want to come play cars with me? And he said yes, and they started playing cars and gone just like that. So it was very easy to get the kids to redirect. So anytime a kid did start crying, the teachers were right there and knew, hey, let's redirect him to something else, which was very, nice. Sorry, just took a little break there for a second. Okay, so that was 1 through 3. So now we move on to day 2. So at day 2, we had, I was at least more in routine with stuff, getting there at 9, setting up stuff with the teacher, like their arts and crafts and stuff like that. Most of the arts and crafts were, coloring pages or like stamps or something like that. So something that, a 2 to 3 year old could do, but something not like super advanced. So the fourth question is, how did the teacher use information about each child to create a nurturing and engaging environment? So the teacher, we have actually, I didn't realize this until the second day, but she had a binder full of stuff. And I asked her what it was, and each paper had something about the kids on it, you know. I remember Caleb didn't like crunchy food, but he was okay with veggie straw. That was pretty much the only crunchy food he ate. So they had that on this little chart, you know. It's just a binder of what each kid's preferred and what they did. Their parents filled them out, you know, like Caleb really likes, he loved Mickey Mouse, you know, so that was something they could use if he ever got super set, which he really never did. He was a pretty quiet kid. But, you know, a binder full of stuff to help the teachers. And I think that was really a useful tool because it helped them, you know, realize that, you know, Liam doesn't really like a lot of loud noises, so they kept it more quiet in the classroom and stuff like that. So, you know, it's stuff like that. How does the learning environment engage, you know, support with children with diagnosed disabilities? Milo, he's got a form of autism. I can't remember. They talked about it more clearly, and I am blanking on it now. But you know, Milo, he he doesn't quite realize sometimes, like, you know, he'll go to take a toy from someone, and he doesn't mean to do anything bad, but, you know, he just took a toy from a kid, so we have to take it, you know, back from him and be like, Milo, this is not yours, and stuff like that. So, you know, and they were always very open about that. You know, there was never, you know, they were like, you know, if you ever see Milo take anything from anyone, just take it away from him, give it back to the kid, just explain to Milo, Milo, that's not your toy. If you would like a turn, you just have to wait. So, you know, stuff like that. So it was very all, you know, it was very educational to be there and learn how they deal with, like, you know, different types of kids. So on day 3, this is when my brother joined. So I was with him a lot. I mean, it was fine. Obviously, I observed the other kids, but it's something to make a note. He came into the classroom as a peer, so he was meant for the kids to all kind of look up to, per se. He's 3, so he is the oldest out of the group, so, you know, it's a lot of, he's, you know, they wanted to bring him in to make an impression on the young kids, I guess. But he did really good. But anyways, so this question, you know, how does a daily schedule and routine support the needs of each children? Does a daily schedule and routine allow for flexibility? And yes. So our daily routine was, I'd get there at 9, help them set up art and crafts. The kids would be let into a room, and, you know, it was, you know, a room full of toys and stuff like that. They do that for about an hour, and then we would do arts and crafts, which only lasted so long. You know, and then we'd do cleanup, we'd sing the cleanup song, do snack time, read a book, then do circle time, and then we went to a bigger room with like more activities and stuff like that. Like, you know, they had a playset there and slides and a caterpillar tunnel you could crawl through. So it was more of a motor room. That's what they called it. And sometimes we didn't even get to the motor room. I remember on day 4, we were only in there for like 10 minutes because all the kids were having fun with circle time and stuff like that. You know, on day 3, actually, my brother was the last one to finish eating a snack. So they did circle time while he ate his snack, you know. It wasn't really a big deal to them if, you know, if kids were slow eating, you know, snack, and they just read another book or something like that. You know, they were always super flexible with, you know, hey, you know, if we don't have time to go to the motor room, we don't have time to go to the motor room, you know, because it's only from 9:15 to 11:15, so it's not that long. So they were very, like, upcoming about, hey, like, if art takes a long time, that just means that circle time's, like, cut shorter. You know, so they were very understanding of the fact that, like, not everything's gonna get done, you know. What guided strategies are used in the classroom that promote positive behavior? Well, like I said with Milo, like, if any kid ever took a toy, you know, we take it away from them, be like, hey, you took this from Sydney, you need to give it back to her, you know. So it's just reinforcing that, you know, it's not nice to just take, and it's very nice to ask. And so I remember on day 3, like, especially with my brother there, because he's very talkative, you know, he kept looking at me, and I was like, Archer, like, that's his name. I was like, you have to ask them. And he's like, oh, can I please have it? He's only 3. And so they were all very forthcoming about, you know, making sure that kids, you know, asked. That was a very important thing. So on day 4, this is when Wesley joined. Wesley is diagnosed with autism and ADHD. He had a pair of headphones that was like noise canceling, and he really struggled on this day, and so did all the other kids because of it. They were very rambunctious. You know, they didn't understand that Wesley was crying because, you know, he was overwhelmed. They just thought, hey, it's okay to scream and cry now, you know, so it was very hard to get them very calm. But so the questions I answered this day were, observe the opportunities in the classroom that support the developmental domains. And it was kind of hard this day to do that question, because the group was so out of focus. But I guess it was, useful to learn and be there because it made me realize, obviously the kids weren't trying to, be mean or anything like that. They just thought, hey, if one kid's screaming, I'm allowed to scream now, and that's not okay. So this day it was a lot of working with the kids, one on one, being like, hey, like, we've worked on and stuff like that. So it was just mainly like reinforcing the things that we had set in them before. And how did the environment support the program's mission statement and philosophy, just making sure that every kid is taken care of, in their own certain way. Wesley, they take him on a walk, making sure that he was nice and calm when he came back to the classroom. So it's just really supporting the program and each kid's needs, which was really nice. Criterion, it's a place where, like, my brother first went going because he never talked. He didn't really, he wasn't really talking. So it was nice for him to be around kids who did talk and do stuff. And that's why he's up here in the group now, because those kids don't really talk too much. So he's there to show them, like, this is how you do everything. So, it's very making sure that each kid is being taken care of in their own way. And then my last day there, I was very sad to leave, but I had a great experience. Day 5 was a lot better. Wesley still, he was, for about 30 minutes, he cried, like, split up, but the kids were better about it this time. We knew how to handle it better, per se. They had music playing in the classroom at all times, like nursery from, like, Alexa and stuff like that. And so on day 5, they actually shut off the music because they figured it would be too noisy for Wesley, and that, I think, really, really helped. It was quieter in the classroom, so I think that was better for him. So, the lesson plan. We didn't really have a lesson plan because they're 2 to 3 year olds, but the lesson plan was, making sure that the schedule we were along, we did everything. They didn't, obviously, we didn't want to miss out on snack time or have the kids do arts and crafts or anything like that. But again, they were flexible about it. But so we don't really have a lesson plan too much. It's just making sure that, we did everything that day we were hoping to do. And, how does the teacher provide an environment that supports self-regulation? With Wesley, especially, it was good to have him, focus on his emotion and kind of for him to calm down on his own, before, joining the rest of the group or something like that. So, yeah. So, Professor, like I said, I am very, very sorry I missed a meeting on Monday. I'm going to hopefully upload this to YouTube, and I will send you the link via school email. I'm so sorry I missed a meeting yesterday. Genuinely didn't know what was happening. I'm so sorry you're not getting the slideshow. I'm just going to write a paragraph about this on paper and email that with you too, and plus this video. It's just the slideshow, as fun as it would have been, and I think it's something you should include, if you would like to. It's just something I couldn't do, but I can do this, and I'm really, really hoping this is okay. It's kind of my only option at this point. So, anyways, I hope you have a great day. I'm very sorry about all the confusion. I hope this is acceptable as a grade. I really, really enjoyed going to Criterion for those few days. So thank you for giving me that opportunity. And I hope you have a good week.